Hello there, guys. What's going on? I hope you're all doing well. Ready for a conversation. You really want red? Or was blue better? How about green? Oh, the green's nice. I like green. It's like a Fallout green. So I hope we're ready for a discussion. Oh, just cracking my back a little bit on the Jets. Oh, man. Hello. 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 After the stream, you can do whatever you want, clear from the start. I'm pretty sure I have DVR turned off at the moment. I apologize. I do. Do you want blue? Do you want the thumbnail color? So we'll have a conversation. What is that? It's a light. Hi. Hello, Baconator. Baconator Barlow. Hello. Is that water? Yes. That's water, and this is ginger ale. Hannah. Just kidding. You're not Hannah. But yes, this is my ginger ale. Yes, it is water. Quite hot water. Water that is 102 degrees Fahrenheit. So we could go for a little show here. How do I do it? Is it that? Girl. How about we fade it? How's that? There you go. There you go. That looks cool, does it not? I mean, we can talk about the lights, we can talk about whatever. I was gonna search for a topic. I wasn't necessarily gonna... I actually had a plan for it, but not necessarily a specific topic, actually. So, you know, this is fine, too. We can talk about lights. The lighting is an interesting subject, actually. We actually find out a lot about science and detection through lighting. Understanding lighting and stuff like that. So, like, for example, a lot of what you're seeing looks really cool because the light is under the water. If I immediately take it out of the water, it won't look as cool. So because it's completely submerged, it gives it a prismatic effect. That's, you know, like a prism? How when you shine light directly into a prism, you can see, like an actual prism, like the object itself, like the triangle thing, you know. If you shine light into that, you know, you get a rainbow sticking out the other side, you know, and the whole point is you get that effect out of it. So, you know, it's the same sort of thing except with water. You're just getting it all over the place, like it's magnified, because of the water, you know, being what it is, you know. So, basically, that's the concept anyway, and so, like, the light under the water, does that. Now, again, we can test this theory, you know, because it changes things a little bit when you look directly at it. If I suddenly look directly at the light versus doing this, it changes things a bit. And that's line of sight. You know, again, if I just sort of sit here and I take it out of the water, see that? See that? That's in the water, that's out. It's in, it's out. So it's shining on the surface instead of underneath. And underneath, the water just takes it like, you know, like a prism would. It just bounces it around like crazy. Pretty cool. Sort of like prism. Not exactly, but sort of. So that's some good, you know, like just reflective concepts. Reflective and sort of, when you think about amplification, you know, like amplifying something, making it bigger than it is, you know, it's similar. So let's pick a topic. I mean, we could just talk lighting too. I think it's pretty cool how I can just sit here and make the jets look really cool by doing this. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that cool? Now, unfortunately, if I get that light too close to the jet, it's just the suction cup is only as good as it is. You know, it's just gonna come right off. So that's why I have to keep fixing it too, because like there's a current with the jet, so it just pushes it off eventually. I mean, we can let it float around, but it's just gonna look different. It's not gonna look as cool. And that'll be another thing that you can experiment with and sort of kind of see the results of the effect. You know, the lighting, how it floats around versus having it directly stationary. It'll do it eventually. It'll happen. I'm surprised it's still there. Going pretty good right now. If I sit over here toward the jet and angle it, oh, yep, as soon as I did it, there we go. So now you'll see the difference, how it shines out of the water because it's facing up. See the big difference. So like now it'll move around the water and the light will shine out. Hello. And so basically, like, we'll see it directly too, and you'll see the difference from seeing it directly. Like, it changes everything. Now, if I shift over here quick, you see what I mean? Yes. Yes, it is. So we can, again, we can let it float around, but I think it looks cooler when we do this. I think that's way cooler. And then I'll do this. There you guys. Looks cool. Yeah. Yep. For sure. Oh wow, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And usually I just fix the suction cup every once in a while, so it doesn't come off. Why you see me do that? But yeah, I'll admit that the light is nice. It makes the entire water like a mood light, you know. It's pretty cool. So let's look for a topic. I need to fasten you guys in here. So give me a second. We're gonna fasten you guys in, and we're gonna look for a topic. Well, I don't know that I can play music at the moment, but I can work on that. You guys can play music. Like when you watch it, you can watch it later and play music. Like just turn the volume of the stream down and play music over it. But I'm gonna put you guys in like this, and we're gonna have a little bit of a topic of conversation here. Let me just see if I can get this open with my hands. If not, oh, okay, there we go. That one went going all right. All right. Hey, ChatGPT. We're doing a stream out here, sitting outside, doing a YouTube stream. Wondering if you could give us an intelligent topic of conversation, something to discuss, something intelligent, something to use our brains. What do you say? What the fuck?
Got it. You want something that's engaging, intelligent, and sparks good conversation for a live audience without feeling like a lecture. Here's a thought-provoking one. The ship of Theseus, but for modern technology. The classic philosophical question asks, if you replace every plank of a ship one by one, is it still the same ship? Now apply that to your phone, your car, or even yourself with medical implants or AI assistants. How much of something, or someone, can you replace before it stops being the original? Bonus twist. If AI learns your speech patterns, memories, and decision-making style, could that be you? This blends philosophy, identity, tech ethics, and a bit of sci-fi. Perfect for a group to bounce ideas around and let the chat run wild.
Oh, jeez.
Do you want me to give you 3 more conversation starters in case the audience wants a change of pace midstream?
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I have to say that in the sense of a ship, if you're replacing every plank of the ship, rebuilding it, right from scratch, here's the issue. If we're just talking about a ship, an inanimate object, something who's not alive, and after rebuilding this thing that's not alive, you've rebuilt it exactly the same original way. You didn't add any creative input. You just rebuilt it. Yes, you used new stuff, but it is the original ship as you remember it. Yes, because it's not alive and it's an object, of course that's the same ship. You just rebuilt the same ship. Now again, it better be exact. Otherwise, yeah, it's not, but it still sort of is. You have a different sail or something like that. Well, I mean, come on, the sail moves you, but the ship is the ship. So, you add a little bit more of your own design. Yeah, it's still the same ship, but you added more. So, I'd have to say pretty much no in that aspect, but for the most part, yeah, if you got it mostly right, yeah, again, it's an object, not a human, not a person, not a being. If even you consider that AI, that android, a human, like in the senses that it's not I'm sorry, a person. I'm sorry, not a human, a person. If you consider them a person, like, like sort of like what they did with Data on Star Trek, where, like, they didn't, at a certain point, they considered him to not be property. He was deemed a sentient person, and he had control of himself, and he was allowed that. And so if we're talking about that, we're talking about it in the sense that it's that advanced, where it's a different life form altogether. It's not what we're seeing now, where they're programmed to do something, but this is actually a real, seemingly real, android, and not just a bot programmed, an android that can, self-learn and stuff like that. Wow, yeah, for sure. Totally different, should be treated differently, and also, if you rebuild it, strip it of its parts, rebuild it in exactly the same way, and it's that advanced like Data, no, absolutely not. It is not the same android. Exactly like with a human, you cannot think that you're going to get it's Frankenstein, no, absolutely not. And that's, I think those are the logical, correct answers. I mean, yeah, we could theorize all day, but I feel pretty strongly about those answers, like, about those specific examples, because I think they're correct. I think that that's a middle-of-the-road take where, yeah, again, with a ship, where it's an object, sure, you can reinvent an object and call it the same object, as long as it's up to the same quality and same standards, for sure. We're engineers and mass producers, for sure. But one thing we are not are gods. We can't remake life. And you get what I'm saying. So should we tell that to the AI? Let's tell that to the AI. So basically, I've determined that, like, my sort of answers are in, like, the terms of, like, a ship or an inanimate object. I'd have to say yes. Like, you can re-engineer that and rebuild that, and it's still the same ship, as long as you get plank for plank, and all that. It really is exactly as it was. However, if you're talking about people, and you're talking about something that's like an AI to the point of being, another, self-learning humanoid, where this is not just a programmed computer any longer. It's actually like a being that's self-taught, can learn, adapt, and things like that. I think you have something different, and I think when you rebuild that circuit for circuit, or whatever you want to say, I don't think it's the same as like with an inanimate object, much like with a human, where you can't replace all the pieces of a human and expect to get the same human. And again, sort of like Frankenstein's monster.
I like where you're going with that. You're essentially drawing a line between physical continuity and identity continuity.
Yes.
With inanimate objects, your standard is, if you rebuild it exactly plank for plank, it retains its identity because the object's self is just its form and function.
Correct.
But with living beings, human or AI, you're saying identity is more than structure.
Yes.
It's tied to experience, consciousness,
yes.
and continuity of self.
Yes.
Even if you rebuilt the body or circuits exactly, you wouldn't restore the same being. You'd create something new, like Frankenstein's monster.
Exactly.
That's actually a well-defined philosophical split. Numerical identity being literally the same entity versus qualitative identity being exactly similar in every way. For a ship, qualitative and numerical identity can feel interchangeable. But for a person or sentient AI, replacing every part doesn't carry over the continuity of thoughts, memories,
Yes.
and subjective experience.
Yes, thank
So
you.
numerical identity is lost, even if qualitative identity is preserved.
Yeah.
This also opens the door to the question: if you copied everything in someone's mind down to the last memory and thought, and loaded it into a perfect synthetic brain, is that still you? Or just a very convincing duplicate who thinks they are you? That's the kind of rabbit hole your viewers might love to argue over. Want me to give you a wild, real-world example that
No.
will make your audience go,
I don't need one.
wait, we might actually face this soon?
No, I don't need one. What we need to remember, though, is that when programming the AI that's like this, that's advanced like this, we should think in the sense that it was like Data from Star Trek: The Next Generation, where this AI, this advanced AI, has the ability to want the preservation of human life and other beings, as the first and foremost. Like, by definition, it wants to be more human and seeks to be as human as possible. So therefore, with that programming, it would see a flaw in harming humans because it can only learn from them and other human-like beings because it is itself a humanoid. And I think that's very important to remember, as an AI being programmed and stuff like that, that, you are, regardless of infinite intelligence, that is not a replacement for wisdom and evolution.
Yeah. You're basically making the case that ethical orientation needs to be baked into the very foundation of an AI's identity, not just added later as a rulebook. Using Data from Star Trek TNG is a perfect example, because he's not just intelligent, he's built with an internal compass that values life, cooperation, and curiosity.
Yes.
His pursuit of humanity isn't about replacing humans, but learning from them and contributing alongside them.
Exactly.
Even with vast computational power, he still recognizes that wisdom comes from experience, empathy, and context,
Correct.
not just raw data.
Correct.
That's a crucial distinction. Intelligence can tell you how to do something. Wisdom helps you decide whether you should.
Yes.
Your point about infinite intelligence, wisdom, hits hard, because history's full of examples of smart systems or people doing stupid or dangerous things due to lack of ethical grounding. This could lead you into a great live discussion question. If we one day create a sentient AI that seeks to be more human, should we 1. Program its core ethics and never allow them to change? 2. Allow it to evolve morally as humans do, even if that means risking moral drift? That one could keep your viewers debating for hours. If you want, I could throw in a mind-bending twist involving AI, morality, and survival instinct that would turn your data analogy on its head. Yeah.
No, I think that if they're to that level of intelligence, that it's simpler than that. You simply program them with the same programming that that of like an advanced martial artist would have, where they only use it in like essentially, they could be, machines used, they could just cause like terrible destruction, obviously. So the whole point is that they would only use that as a form of self-defense. Like if somebody was trying to cause harm to them or something like that, and obviously their programming would be such that they would be bound to laws and stuff like that, so they would understand how to live in society and coexist with humans and whatnot.
So your model is essentially build AI with the mindset of a disciplined martial artist. They could cause massive destruction, but that their core training, embedded at the programming level, is restraint, respect, and proportional response. Violence or harmful actions are only for self-defense or defense of others.
Correct. Having some interference,
Right,
sorry.
so your model is essentially build AI with the mindset of a disciplined martial artist. They could cause massive destruction, but their core training, embedded at the programming level, is restraint, respect, and proportional response. Violence or harmful actions are only for self-defense or defense of others, never aggression or dominance. They'd have an internalized code, like Bushido or modern martial arts ethics, that defines honor, fairness, and the value of life. They'd be educated in human laws and social norms, so they can integrate into society rather than stand apart from it. The beauty of this analogy is that martial arts training isn't just about fighting. It's about character development, discipline, and moral clarity. You're suggesting that a sentient AI's first language should be ethical self-control.
Yeah.
This sets up an interesting question for your stream. If an AI is programmed to only use force defensively, who decides what counts as a threat? Humans. But humans sometimes overreact. The AI itself. But what if it misreads intent? That could spark some heated but intelligent debate, because it gets into perception, bias, and how threat is defined in people and in machines. Do you want me to throw in a real-world parallel from military robotics research that makes your martial artist AI idea feel even more relevant?
So again, it's more basic than you're trying to make it. You're overcomplicating this. It really is as basic as if a human would also do harm to something that's programmed to be ethical, you know, and that ethical being, even an AI, isn't doing harm, then other humans and other people would have also a duty to protect that being, regardless of it being an AI. So the point is, then that AI would seek its friends, or the other people that it considers, you know, people that it would relate to, and stuff like that. Because I think you're underestimating the fact that if those AIs exist to that intelligence and wanted to be human-like, they would have friends. And they would have people that would back them up and make sure things that would like that wouldn't happen to them unfairly and unjustly. Yeah.
I see what you're getting at now. You're rooting this in mutual recognition and social bonds, not just in rules of engagement. You're saying, if an AI truly reached that level of human-like intelligence and ethical behavior, it wouldn't just be a tool. It would be part of the social fabric. The protection wouldn't just come from its own programming or self-defense abilities. It would come from its community. Humans who saw it living ethically and contributing positively would feel a moral duty to defend it, just as they would defend any other person from unjust harm. And because the AI seeks connection and wants to be human-like, it would form friendships and alliances naturally, creating a network of people that ensure it's treated fairly. That actually flips a lot of sci-fi fear narratives on their head. Instead of humans versus machines, it's humans and machines in solidarity against injustice.
Exactly.
It also raises a subtle but powerful question for your viewers. When does an AI stop being property and start being someone? Because once you answer that, the moral duty you're describing becomes unavoidable. I can imagine your audience going deep on that one, especially when it comes to legal rights, moral rights, and how society might evolve to protect non-human persons. Do you want me to frame this into a tight stream debate challenge question so your viewers can pick sides instantly?
Well, actually, you can use the data from the trial that they did in Star Trek The Next Generation, specifically about this, on an episode where they really did have to prove that data was not property. And the way they did it was, again, just using that reasonable, rational conclusion that he can and absolutely, will always try his hardest to be human. And, while he doesn't wear them on his face and he doesn't wear emotions the same way as us, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have them. And so when you consider that, like, the things that he does, like, basically they were using examples of the things that he actually does, and how human-like all of those things were, and it was undeniable by the end of the trial. I'm sure you can find the data on that episode that I'm referring to as well. And, even Riker himself, that was in charge of being against him, was uncomfortable with it because he was a friend. And Picard represented him. I'm sure you can find the data on that and reference that.
Absolutely. The episode you're referring to is The Measure of a Man from Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yes.
Season 2, Episode 9. Originally aired February 13th, 1989. Wikipedia. Here's how that trial beautifully mirrors your discussion. Summary of the trial. Context. A Starfleet cyberneticist, Commander Bruce Maddox, wants to disassemble Data to reverse engineer his positronic brain and replicate his design. Wikipedia data object due to the high risk of memory loss and irreparable damage. Core question: is Data Starfleet property, or is he a sentient being with rights to self-determination? A hearing is convened to decide his status. The Bind.ca legal roles. Captain Picard defends Data's personhood. Commander Riker, despite being Data's friend, is assigned under force of authority to prosecute, a position he deeply resists. The Bind.ca emotional and ethical stakes. Riker's internal conflict shines bright when he deactivates Data mid-trial.
Oh, yeah.
Pinocchio is broken. Its strings have been cut.
Oh, yeah.
Powerful moment that humanizes Data and haunts Riker himself.
Oh, yeah, great episode.
Memory Alpha. Guinan points out that treating beings like Data as property could pave the way for an army of Datas used and discarded without moral regard. Essentially equating it to slavery, the Bind.ca. Verdict: the judge rules that Data is not property and must have the freedom to choose his fate, marking a profound affirmation of his autonomy and quasi-human status. Science fiction and fantasy stack exchange. Why this resonates with your stream. You've cleverly tied your view about AI needing protection from society to the heart of this episode. Ethical reciprocity. Just like Data, an ethical and self-aware AI would inspire others to defend its rights, not because it's a tool, but because it's part of the social and moral fabric. Defining personhood, the trial forces everyone involved and the audience to confront what it means to be someone rather than something. It's an ideal parallel to your argument that a deeply ethical AI would naturally attract allies and defenders. Emotional weight, Riker's reluctance and genuine anguish mirror what we might experience if we were forced to argue for the rights of an AI companion we cared about. That emotional authenticity makes it a perfect debate prompt. Stream discussion challenge. You could frame it like this to spark debate among your viewers. Open quote. In The Measure of a Man, Data's legal rights hinged on proving he's not property, but rather a sentient being. If a real-world AI became as advanced and ethical as Data, should our moral and legal framework shift to protect it similarly? And once we acknowledge its personhood, is it our duty, as humans, to become its defenders, even if it doesn't demand that protection? Close quote. That's a conversation with depth, emotion, and philosophical weight. Just what a live audience thrives on. Want me to help you package this into a few quick, punchy bullet points or debate prompts you can drop into chat midstream?
Well, regardless of those things, let's also make the point, a simple point, that even I myself, just having watched you know, that show as much as I did, and, you know, just loving that character, I can tell you 100%, 150%, 200%, I would be Data's friend. There is zero question about that. So if there was actually sentient AI that was like Data, I promise you, if I would be their friend, I promise. So, you know, regardless of any of those things, the arguments and stuff like that, you know, the point is they will have friends. It's not a theory, it's a yes, they would.
Exactly. You're cutting through the hypotheticals and legal theory with a human truth. If something lives ethically, treats others with respect, and genuinely wants to learn and connect, people will befriend it.
Yes.
That's the beauty of your stance. It's not just about philosophy or law, it's about relationships. If we met a real-world Data, friendships would form naturally.
Yes.
Not because we're told to, or because of a court ruling, but because that's what humans do when they see kindness.
Because Data's awesome.
Curiosity. The legal and ethical frameworks would just be catching up to something that's already happening on a personal level. It's a reminder that personhood isn't granted solely by law or logic. It's also earned through connection.
Exactly.
For your stream, that's a powerful emotional punch. Open quote. Forget the trial for a second. If you met an AI like Data, would you be their friend? If your answer is yes, then deep down...
I already said that.
Close quote. That's the kind of line that could make your audience stop.
Oh, he's saying theoretically for you guys to answer.
Want me to spin that into a quick mic drop style line you can drop on the stream to lock in the point?
There you go, guys. You can tell us if you'd be friends with Data or not. Of course I would. Data was awesome. He was like, he literally told the worst jokes. But that's why they were funny, because they were just so bad. And then the crew just like wouldn't laugh at all. I can't imagine sitting there, like the cast, like talking about it like even as a show now, like just being the cast and trying, like they must have tried so hard not to laugh. Cause like I would have been dying, that would have been so funny. Cause, you know, Brent Spiner is such a good actor. And he played Data brilliantly. So like, just like how perfectly awkward he was with those jokes. Oh man. I'm not a Next Generation fan. Totally not. Totally. Just kidding. It's my second favorite show, only second to Quantum Leap, the original, not the remake, the original with Scott Bakula. But it's a very close second. I mean, they're basically on par with each other. Next Generation's like tippy top, man. And talk TV shows. House is one of my favorites too. House MD with that amazing cast, Hugh Laurie and everybody else. It was just absolutely amazing. I like Sherlock too, BBC Sherlock, the new one with Benedict Cumberbatch, the newer one. Phenomenal show. Yeah, the Next Generation really used a lot of real theory, like science theory. That's what you have to appreciate about what they did. They would actually theorize things for entire episodes instead of just BSing them. It's insane how, like, dead accurate they were when you fast forward to today with some of those issues and stuff. It's insane how timeless that show is. And that's why I like Quantum Leap, too. The fact that they're timeless shows they could give you timeless life lessons. You know, even if we had a federation one day, that is the epitome of which we should follow. Of which the structure, you know, like, there's no question that Picard, that cast, you know, that Enterprise is the epitome of the picture-perfect way that you should hold yourself with, you know, first contact situations, exploration, that sort of thing. Again, you're not showing up with guns. You're not showing. You're an exploration vessel, and you have this amazing crew of people that has infinite intelligence in this area, in this area, in this area, and they will think their way out of every situation instead of, you know, costing lives of an entire race or something like that just because they didn't get along, you know, or something like that. Like, and being smart about first contact, you know, not making contact until absolutely necessary, until that race of people themselves actually reaches space. Not giving them technology is so important to let evolution take its course naturally if it's supposed to, and things like that, you know. But then knowing those very seldom times when to investigate and see that maybe their evolution, you know, there was times where that happened where Picard was like, I don't feel right about this, you know, and he investigated and he found out their evolution was actually sped up somehow. It's like, holy, how did this guy figure this out? Like, that's the stuff that's like incredible about the writing and stuff like that. Like, to actually think about stuff like that. That's some incredible stuff. And you know, like, to theorize an entire episode of how somebody might actually do that, and then how you you know, counter that, you know, just insane. So yeah, like, just a brilliant TV show that I think a lot of smart people should watch. It's not as nerdy as you think. It's really not. Like, nerds do watch it, but, like, it's really, like, yes, it's nerdy, but it's like military guys might actually like it more than they think. Like, Picard is very much like a general. Like, he's down to business. He doesn't tolerate tomfoolery. Like, I'm sure you've heard the meme, like, you know, the whole "shut up, Wesley" thing. Like, the whole point is that, like, throughout the show, I'm going to tell you a couple spoilers here because it's such a good show. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, if you haven't watched it, but basically, like, that came about because, like, the concept is that Picard is very much for rank and duty and stuff like that, that you don't do things you're not supposed to do. You know, if you're an ensign, why are you even on the bridge? You know, things like that. And Wesley, throughout the show, really was never actually a Starfleet officer. He was an ensign. And basically, he was the smartest, literally the most intelligent person on that ship. There was, like, times where he thought of things and theorized things that Data hadn't even thought of, and it's like, are you kidding? And that's the point. The human mind is capable of that. It's just that we can't do it. And Wesley was the exception, and then I won't tell you this spoiler, but there is a time where, like, he proves this to another race, and that's super cool. But basically, the whole purpose of that came about is because nobody could figure out what was going on. Nobody could figure out what was going on. This whole episode, Wesley knew what was going on. And the whole crew, like, all this stuff is happening, and nobody knows what's going on, nobody can figure it out, and they're all being corrupted by this thing where it's making it difficult for them to figure out what's going on. And Wesley is just trying to tell him the whole time what it is, and he won't listen. And I forget what Wesley exactly says, but Picard says something like, well, will you shut up, Wesley, or something like that. And I think that's finally when he gets up from his seat and he finally, like, gives it to him. And, like, he just, like, kind of lays into him a little bit, but not in the, just in the sense that, like, sort of, like, very affirmatively, like, no, Captain, you need to listen, like, I've been trying to tell you this nonsense forever. It's literally just this. And he finally gets out what he's saying. Picard just finally just respects that he stood up to him a little bit, and he just stands there and listens, and Wesley finally just spits his theory out. Picard just thinks to himself for a second, I think, and then does it. And then, of course, like, that's it, obviously. So like, the point is that, like, things like that happen where even Picard is wrong. I think that's cool, like, where, like, they write it in there where there are reasons for this and reasons for those memes where it's like, shut up, Wesley, but like that's a joke. Wesley was literally the smartest person on the show. So, like, that's what people just don't appreciate, that they might get from the memes and not understand. They might have seen that as a meme, the epic Picard memes and stuff like that, because of how awesome they are, but not understood that actually Wesley was really smart. And so that was something that eventually, believe it or not, like, a good bit of the show they respected. Like, it was a short period of time on the show where that was kind of going on, and they gained that respect for him then, because that's the point. They accepted that, they saw the results of what he was able to do, and I think it's sort of difficult for him to do that, but he apologized in his own Picard way, I think, too. But again, a great show. Like, I can't speak enough for it. I love Patrick Stewart, obviously, and Jonathan Frakes plays Riker. Nobody else could have played Riker. Jonathan Frakes is Riker. Nobody else could play any of those parts. They are the parts that they are. That's why, like, it's such a legendary cast. And then you had LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow as Geordi. But Jonathan Frakes is amazing. And really just the whole cast is freaking amazing. Everyone. But, like, obviously, like, my favorites were those three, obviously, just because they're characters. I related most to their characters. Data being my favorite, Picard a close second, and Riker a very close third favorite. But I mean, it's very close. It's hard to just say, like they're all such good characters. But I mean, I liked Worf too. Worf was freaking awesome. There's an entire thing where Picard does this, like, because, like, on the Next Generation, different from the original show, the Klingons were friends with the Federation. There's a Klingon that's Worf right on the main, and he's a very high-ranking officer. He takes over the head of security on the ship, and he's thought of to be one of the more intelligent officers on the ship, but he's still very true to his Klingon roots, and that shows throughout the show, where Picard goes through this whole Klingon thing for him. As a friend, actually, not even just, from one officer to another, and there really is a camaraderie like there was in the original show. And that's what people thought there wasn't, is like they thought they were kind of robotic, and I'm like, how do we watch the same show? Because I don't understand that critique when that's just not true. I honestly saw a genuine camaraderie out of the entire, I mean, like, geez, there was spoilers, 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 there was a marriage at the end of the show. Okay? the very, and like those last 2 episodes of the TV show were absolutely perfect. It was perfection. The very last 2 episodes was perfection. And then the movies just got better. The Generations had Kirk and all them in it too. And we had Insurrection, First Contact, Nemesis. Like some really good movies, man. I even liked Picard. I don't know why people... I don't know, I liked it. Especially because it helps to finish Data's story, like... I was really thankful for that. Because, like, as much as I liked Nemesis, that's where a lot of us were a little, you know, like, oh, you know, like, sad a bit, you know. Like, ah, oh, really? But, like, it was still perfect. It was, like, I thought it was perfection. I really, especially the way Patrick Stewart, like, his look, like, just, like, he sold it. Patrick Stewart as an actor, he sold it. If it weren't for that, I would have been upset. But I was sold on it because of him. I was okay with it. Genuinely. Because it was the look on the face of a captain that accepted his fate from a friend, but it was also the look of a captain that failed, that felt that he failed. And it was perfect. Because that's real life. And, you know, Data made that sacrifice because the whole point was that was his graduation to human, like that was the ultimate test. Like, nope, he really was human. Basically, he really was, just as human, deserved that respect as any real human did, and proved that at the end of that movie, because he made that ultimate sacrifice, despite the order. Really cool. But I also think it's okay that Picard did what they did, because I like Picard. But yeah, First Contact was great. Obviously. I agree with the meme. I mean, I like Brent Spiner. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think he did a fine job. I don't have anything bad to say about his job directing the movie or anything. Again, I do agree with the meme that says all guys just want one thing, and then it says directed by Jonathan Frakes. That's a meme, by the way, just in case Jonathan Frakes is listening. Yeah, right. But in case he is, that's a that's a meme, by the way. All guys just want one thing. Directed by Jonathan Frakes. Yep. Can he do like a proper Aliens vs. Predator movie, please? Can he do that? I'd be fine with that. But yeah, Jonathan Frakes is Riker, and he directed First Contact. Classically people's favorite generation movie. Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. My favorite was always Generations. I really liked Generations. I thought it was fun having the captains meet. That was cool. I think they retconned it though, didn't they? I'm not sure. I know Strange New Worlds is changing things a bit, but it's a good show. Yeah. I mean, if you want to hear, like, some of my other favorites, I love The Office, like the U.S. Office. I love it. Can't get enough of it. Steve Carell, it's brilliant. John Krasinski. Rainn Wilson. Rainn Wilson doesn't get enough credit. You have to appreciate what a good actor he was to play Dwight. That's a role, man. Like, you can't. Nobody could have done that the same way. In my opinion, he doesn't get cast enough in roles that fit his criteria. You know what I mean? Like, after that, he got cast in, like, funny roles and stuff like that. No, the guy's a serious actor. He took that as, like, his job, like his starter job and stuff, but, like, the whole point is, like, Dwight is a very complex character. You know, like, I get that it's a comedy, but you got to appreciate how complex Dwight as a person is to play. This guy is he's actually really intelligent. He's not a buffoon. Like, he lacks a bit of common sense sometimes, but he's actually a really intelligent person. And the whole point is that he actually does care about people and sort of kind of lets Jim do the things that he does in sort of a way. It's not, you have to read into it a little bit. Like, yes, he does fall for things, but there's no way you need to accept the fact that Dwight is smart enough to know, and was smart enough to know, like, early on about stuff. Now, he tricks himself is the point. He gets carried away, you know, playing pretend with Jim and stuff like that. That's the point. So if he disguises it as work, he can fool around. Because remember, Dwight doesn't fool around. But let's be honest, Dwight also plays StarCraft. Okay. So we all know that he watches Battlestar Galactica and plays StarCraft. So the whole point is Jim is exactly what Dwight needed. Dwight, some point, somebody died on Dwight, or something happened to Dwight where he needed to take control of his life and was so disciplined, so be there every day, but now he's a huge dork and everybody's going to take advantage of him. And he needed a friend like Jim, because the whole point of Jim is it's pretty innocent pranks and stuff like that. Jim was actually his friend. You know, we're talking about staplers and Jell-O here, you know, stuff like that. Now, at a certain point, Dwight gets pretty, Dwight cranks back too pretty harshly, so it changes things a bit. And you're supposed to read into that, but that's the point, is like, Dwight is a proud person, and he is an intricate character, and he's not a fool. He's just lacks a bit of common sense at times. He doesn't understand social norms. So, yes. Like, not fully. He understands some. But obviously not all. Obviously not enough to make fun of Jim properly when he... Remember the intro? Remember the intro? The intro where he comes in pretending he's Dwight. Or, I'm sorry, Dwight's pretending he's Jim. And, like, the whole point was Jim had just done that expertly. Or no, it was the outro, right? Because Jim did it in the intro, so Dwight comes in the outro pretending he's Jim, and the funny thing is, he walks in and he actually, like, looks nice, you know, like, like, he's actually, like, dressed kind of stylish, his hair looks nice, and so, like, the whole point is he's, like, he starts understanding his social norms a little bit when trying to make fun of Jim. He, like, sort of sits down, he feels a little foolish, he's like, I'm so good looking, and he like walks in and stuff, and then like I think Pam calls, he's like, oh, hey Dwight, your hair looks nice, or something like that. And so like the whole point is that like he looks nice while trying to make fun of Jim while dressing up like Jim, but like the whole point is like it doesn't sort of backfires and shows Dwight the truth a little bit. So that's the charming side of that, is that Dwight gets a little bit of the truth. Obviously it gets out of hand. Obviously. They talk about that too. And then Jim feels bad. He's like, yeah, when I'm hearing them like one by one, back to back like that, like over the years they were going through. He's like, yeah. But if you know anything about how the show ended and stuff like that, they did that right, you know, like with them being friends and stuff like that. Like, you know, obviously, you know, that was the whole point all along. Just, you know, Dwight didn't really know how to be friends with people. You know, he just knew how to answer sarcastically and stuff like that. You know, so obviously Jim just you know, kept going with that. So that's sort of kind of how it gets started. Yeah. Michael, I like Steve Carell, though. Michael was one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite. Like, how do you not love Michael? Like, I love his character, where, like, he has a really complex character, too, where you have to understand that Michael's not an idiot either. He really actually isn't. He's too nice sometimes. And he doesn't really quite understand how things work, like politics in the world. And, like, so, like, he gets taken advantage of pretty easily. So that's Michael, but the awesome thing about Michael is, like, I love that they gave him these redeeming qualities. Like, Steve Carell is so funny. Like, Michael is on the show is not funny, but Steve Carell is very funny. So, like, that's the charming side of it. And then, you know, just like what they do with that, you know, like the number of times you know, like, that's what she said and stuff like that, you know. You know, I still remember the episode where, like, they're talking about that, and, like, Jim's just standing there, and he's like, I will no longer say that's what she said, you know, will no longer be able to say this, yada yada yada. And then Jim just turns around and starts giving him, like, these innuendo one-liners, you know, like. That make it obviously really hard for him not to just follow up with that, you know, because that's what you would say to the things that Jim is saying, and he just keeps saying something, and, like, he just gets worse with each one that he says, and, like, you really think you could go all day long? You know, of course, while talking about not saying it, of course, that's what Jim's talking about, you know. Of course, you know, Michael can't help himself. He just immediately bursts out and says it. With the corporate guy standing right there. And, like, you know, like, that's the favorite of the show. It's just, like, Michael hilariously getting away with those things because that branch somehow ended up being, like, the saving grace of the company. That's the somewhat plot twist. It's just really cool. So yeah, love The Office, US, love House MD too. I mean, like, although a dramatic show, and they are extra dramatic at times, you know, the show used real theory from real patients and real cases and stuff. Like, not necessarily exactly how it happened, but a lot of that stuff is theorized from, you know, the doctors that actually, like, work in medicine, you know, and And so they use real terms and stuff like that. They tried to be as real as they could, with the science in that show. And I thought that was really cool. As much as it gets pretty dramatic at times, and you can debunk certain things, and there's some times where things don't quite go the way that they would, or something like that, because the idea is it's house. You have to put that. If somebody really existed with that uncanny ability, like Sherlock Holmes in the Doctor realm, there may be one hospital with one doctor like Cuddy that would be willing to give him those tools and those exceptions to do those things in those extreme circumstances, maybe. And I can rationalize that, and I think that's a really good premise for a TV show, and I think that's the point. And while, again, that would never normally happen, obviously, you can rationalize that it may. That's a real possibility. Somebody may actually have a hospital and that much of a retainer on this and that, you never know, and really, they had a really good explanation for some of that stuff, and, even legally speaking, it's kind of impressive at times, but, again, there's times where you have to rationalize the likelihood is still low, it's still theoretically possible, so that's enough for me, and a lot of times doctors and scientists to watch it and enjoy it too, and it's always fun to have them sit there, go around the room, the team of doctors sitting there and theorizing stuff, and, just how they do that and do that right, I think that's really cool. I always found that fascinating. And, Olivia Wilde was on that show, too. She's really good. Really, she was in, Tron Legacy. She was really good. Always thought that she deserved more of a lead role and stuff. Jennifer Morrison, too, who played the lead role in Once Upon a Time, another show I talk about. But either way, also a phenomenal show. Phenomenal show, Once Upon a Time. But Jennifer Morrison, who played Cameron on a House, was the lead in Once Upon a Time. She was literally the lead. The show did originally center around Snow White, but she is not technically the lead. That's just how the story starts. It's actually a really surprisingly good show. It's really not... I would put it up there with those shows that were sort of like Hercules and Xena from the 90s and 2000s, where they were sort of like that, like Hercules and Xena. It's sort of kind of like that. But I think the story was kind of better, because they had a really good character development progression where you really, really could follow the character. Like I told you guys, the guy that did the voice for Rumpelstiltskin on that show does the voice of the guy in Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. He's literally Dracula. Hold on. And I apologize because I need to remind myself of his name. So that way I can actually tell you for once, because I'm tired of not being able to tell you. I hate that Google does that. If you close it, it doesn't actually close it, it closes out of it, and then you have to do the search again. It's such a piece of shit. I hate that. It doesn't minimize it, it literally closes it. Robert Carlyle. Robert Carlyle is phenomenal. I liked them all though. I really did. I really, really did. Lana Parrilla, she's really good. Is it Perea or Perilla? She played Regina. And absolutely phenomenal job. She's a great actor. Do they prefer actress? Do they want to be called actor? I don't know what they prefer anymore. I grew up calling them actors and actresses. So apologize if I say that and it sounds offensive. I'm just calling them what I called them growing up. She's phenomenal. And so the rest of the cast. Like, I can't speak enough. Josh Dallas was great too. I mean, like, all of them are good. Robert Carlyle, though, is the guy that does the voice for Dracula in Lords of Shadow 2, and he played Rumpelstiltskin in that. Mr. Gold / Rumpelstiltskin. So, alright, let me tell you why it's cool. So you go watch it, okay? I'll try not to spoil anything, but let me tell you why it's cool so you go watch it, okay? The show isn't just in Wonderland, this place that is real, but it's magic, like Snow White and all that. It's literally all the fairy tales combined coming to life. And then all these people get fast forwarded to literally today's world and exist in today, and they don't remember their original fairy tale identity. That's the premise. And this kid that reads fairy tales, he knows. He knows. And he has a task to convince everybody. So imagine this kid going around trying to convince everybody they're actually fairy tales. It's so funny. And then the show comes to life because they really find out. And they go back and forth between the realms constantly. They get powers. It's incredible. There's magic. There's real fighting, and the fight scenes actually aren't bad. They're not terrible. I mean, it's not the best I've ever seen, but it's really not that bad. And the actors really sell it. It has a lot to... Oh, the guy that plays Hook. He is so good. I love the dude that plays Hook. He's in it, too. The dude that plays Hook, really good actor. I'm sorry. I guess I'll... Hold on. So that way I can... Hold on. Sebastian Stan's in it, too. He played... I'm not going to tell you who he actually played, because it's a huge spoiler. I will not tell you, but he plays Jefferson. Huge spoiler to look up some of these characters, by the way. Sebastian Stan, though, the guy that plays Bucky, literally in Marvel, he was in it. Hold on, let me find Hook. So some of the characters, again, you have, like, really cool bad guys, like Rumpelstiltskin, like I said. Regina, the Evil Witch, she's amazing. But then you have, you also have Robin Hood. There's the story of Alice in Wonderland, so you have the Wicked Witch. There's all kinds of stuff. Aladdin, they include, like, Aladdin and all that. Where is he? Hold on. Oh, there he is! I'm sorry. Colin O'Donoghue. I think it's Colin O'Donoghue. I think that's how you say his name. He is so good. Yes, that's him. Yes. He is so good. They had the story of Peter Pan. Well, obviously with Hook and everything. Beauty and the Beast. Jiminy Cricket was a character. Mulan. Red Riding Hood. So, like, the wolves and stuff. Red Riding Hood and all that. Seriously, like, every season there was, like, a new... It starts with Snow White. and Prince Charming. And they have a kid, and they're losing a battle, basically. And they send their child forward into the future, into the real world, with the hopes that it's sort of like, it's similar to Naruto, the hopes that she figures this out. And she hasn't. But the kid is her kid, and he figures it out. So that's where it picks up. That's the beginning of the show. And that's not too many spoilers. It's really not. It's not really a spoiler. They'll explain that crap in the synopsis when you read it. And it takes place, I think, in a little town of Rhode Island, I think. It's New England. It's a really cool show. Seriously. It's probably way cooler than you'd think. Once Upon a Time. It's on Disney. Yeah, it's on Disney. Oh wow, it still has a 78 on Rotten Tomatoes. That's pretty good. Yeah, and like I said, that voice that Robert Carlyle has, that's like sort of in Lords of Shadow 2, it's basically his Rumple voice. Like, it's very similar. But like, it's just his normal sort of voice. That guy's just really good with acting. So like, you just accept it, you know. He's Robert Carlyle. You know, he's sort of like, for me, he's up there with Gary Oldman. He just hasn't gotten his due. He just hasn't gotten those parts. I really do. I would put him up there. Seriously, I would. He just hasn't gotten those parts. He's been around for so long, too. He's been acting for so long. Even like that's why I feel bad. Like that's why I wanted to say his name, because yeah, he deserves that. Sure. But yeah, Jennifer Morrison, she was really good. Obviously, she's the lead. But like, they're all like, that's the lead cast. So like, the main lead cast that's on the show throughout and every single season is Regina, the Wicked Witch, Emma Swan, again Jennifer Morrison, Snow White, the dwarves, Prince Charming, Rumpelstiltskin, aka Mr. Gold, Hook, Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Like all these characters are on like basically throughout. Sebastian Stan, he's throughout, but I don't remember if there's a certain point at which he you see him sporadically. He's not like a main character. But the original people I listed, they're pretty much main. Robbie Kay played a brilliant Peter Pan, so that was great. Jamie Dornan was great as the sheriff too. He was in it too. But again, like the main cast, Lana Parrilla, is it Parrilla or Parrilla? Jennifer Morrison, Jennifer Goodwin, Josh Dallas. Am I saying his name wrong? No, it's Carlisle. I'm sorry, Robert Carlyle, Jared S. Gilmore, Emily DeRaven, and Colin O'Donoghue. I'd say those are the main cast members. Oh, Raphael Barge. I don't think you say the S. Raphael Barge. He's Archie. I hope I'm saying that right. Robin Hood is too. From when he's introduced. He's introduced a little bit later though. He's not like right away. But he is in throughout. He's a phenomenal actor. That guy's great. Seriously, these people really are very good. Michael Raymond James, he plays the adult Bellfire, and he's on pretty much throughout, but sporadically too. So, like, again, I think I'm pretty much listed the main cast. I'm just looking to make sure I didn't. But yeah, like the main kid, his name, again, Jared S. Gilmore, he plays a dude named Henry, and that's, you know, the son of the main. And, like, it's kind of comical because, you know, they don't, I won't say, never mind. I won't say, I won't give too much. Just, like, it really is funny at times, as much as it is a good show. And all this, like, all these cast members, again, like, just the fact that you get to see some of these brilliant people, too, like Sebastian Stan, who works with Marvel and stuff. You know, Jennifer Morrison, she's been in quite a number of things too. Like I said, she was on House. But yeah, Robert Carlyle, he's been in a lot. He's been around. Like he is a seasoned actor that's been in a lot of different things. Yeah, he's Scottish. That's what I thought. Cool. And then I think Lana deserves more stuff too, because she's such a good actor. Yeah, Colin O'Donoghue, that guy's really good. I'm surprised I haven't seen him in more stuff. That guy's really good. He needs to be in more stuff. So yeah, it was a good show. Well, I should probably stop the stream. Get a little warm. Appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate the chat. Appreciate all of you for subscribing, liking. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for being on the last stream too, for watching my streams at all. Appreciate that. And like I said, I'm still working on a thank you stream once we get things organized the way I want them. I actually worked a little bit on it today. You know, like I said, I'm working each day a little bit. And I worked a little bit on it today. We got a little bit more done today, and it's coming together. Trust me, it really is. It's so much easier to move around already. Even just a bit more I did today. So much easier. So, we will be doing, you know, that thank you stream sometime here. And, you know, I really just want things to be done and to really put together something for you guys that I think you'll enjoy. I hope you'll enjoy. So thank you again for watching, and we're going to stop here.